I believe we're live.
Awesome.
Hello, Sio
Hey,
Tonga. Welcome to Virtual Coffees. Cheers.
cheers.
And,
It's
uh,
good to have a coffee and
and
virtual
chill out.
coffee. I haven't had a, yeah, it's a bit different. It's been a long time since I've caught up with someone for a coffee, a few weeks in lockdown here in Melbourne. So,
It is, yeah. Well, it's funny. Virtual coffee is very much the new hashtag now. Would you like to have a virtual coffee? Um, Admittedly, when I get asked if we can catch up for a real coffee, I actually try to avoid it now.
yeah, yeah. It takes a lot of time having
It
to
does.
travel.
It does. So I'm like, oh, we can do a Zoom. But thank you for being here, Sia. We I wanted to have you on here because um, you're from Umbrella 90, and
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about what you guys do, because the thing that really drew me to what you did, and it was a video,
Mhm.
was talking about the types of videos you can do and how to do video properly. Because we, as you know, the idea of virtual coffees is for us to bring value to the business owners um, all across Australia. That how are we going to be able to help them with their marketing? How are we going to be able to help them get their message out and be seen? You know, and videos. We know everyone does Facebook Lives. Well, not everyone. People, a lot of people do Facebook Lives. A lot of people know the power of video, but what is the real power of video and how can we do it the right way?
Yeah, I'd love to share more on that, Cheryl. So, you mentioned with your property VA, you're doing some rebranding, and I'd love
Absolutely.
to put this video into that context, if you like. You
Yes.
did see the five types of video, and that was the five types of engagement video, how to speak to your market, and especially a cold market. So, what I find a lot of businesses can tend to get wrong is the biggest mistake I see is they make it about them and not about their market.
Mm.
And there are two main aspects that I probably want to talk about when it comes to creating a video that attracts the right type of market, so your most ideal types of clients. One aspect is their level of awareness. So depending on especially for B2B and service type businesses, usually their market knows that they have a problem, but they don't know what types of solutions are out there, like virtual assistants, I can assume. Could you tell me a little bit about the types of businesses and clients that you work with?
Yeah, yeah. So that's a really that's right on the money there. Are your clients problem aware or solution aware? Morning, Sean. So I've got a few people popping up here. So if any sort of comments come up, I'll let you know. Um, so and this is an interesting one because there are people that know about outsourcing and virtual assistants, and then people that don't. But they are aware. The one thing they are aware of, the problem that they have is I have so much to do. I'm so overwhelmed. I'm wearing 500 hats. I am the chief everything officer. So they're aware of the problem,
Mhm.
and that they know that they need to also be marketing themselves and everything else, but they don't necessarily know the solution
Yeah.
around it. Do they engage a marketing company? Do they engage someone to help out? Cash flow is an issue, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, great context. So, a market that knows that they need marketing, or they need to get their message out there, or they need to be active online, let's say, but they don't know what ways, because there's so many different ways to get there. And depending on your solutions, whether it's VA, whether it's video, like myself, and digital marketing, there's a whole another world to get someone from where they're at now towards an online presence. There's so many different ways. So the question is, how do we effectively communicate with our market in a way that resonates with them? And from exactly just like you've shared, you've talked about the problem, and that's the best way for a problem-aware market, is to talk about their problem and very specifically what they are going through. You mentioned a couple aspects there where they want to get their marketing, but they don't know whether to, or the types of services that they are aware of or maybe trying to engage with.
I think there's so many, and you're right, because we get a lot of business owners who are like, okay, well, do I do Facebook ads? How do I generate leads? Is it Google ads? Do I need to be doing Facebook and LinkedIn outreach? And it is overwhelming. It
Yeah,
is overwhelming for business owners, because they're like, is it one person or do I get a whole lot of people?
yeah,
And can I do it? And can I do it in house, or can I do it out house? Like,
yeah,
and they're just like, oh my goodness, like there's so many options.
yep.
What's going to be the best for me? Get me the best results with the least amount of cost.
Also, so that what you've just shared is almost a video in itself. We use that context for a problem-aware audience, where we create something like, you're probably like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Do I get 3 people? Do I get a marketer? Do I go on Facebook? Do I create ads, or do I go on LinkedIn? What do I do?
Yeah.
They're in overwhelm. You mentioned overwhelm,
Yes.
so overwhelm being the emotion. If you can language that problem and understanding where they're at, they will assume that you have the solution. So what a lot of businesses get wrong, so that's an example of creating a video or content that speaks to the problem, a problem-aware audience. What a lot of businesses get wrong is they talk about their solution. So how to get online, how to do this, and people don't know if they don't, if that business or service understands them where they're at, because they're confused. And if we're talking about the solution and not understanding their problem, we then become just another one of those Facebook ads or LinkedIn strategies that people don't really know if it's going to get them there, and they don't know if this business or this brand understands their problem and what they're experiencing right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And how important is, I mean, how do we get to that point to really understanding what our target market's problem is?
Yeah,
Like, I mean, what I've found as well is that even the very basic understanding of that target market is so important. So we asked the question of, who's your avatar? Who is your target market? And how deeply should we be diving into that sort of process of,
yeah,
who that avatar is?
yeah. So two ways I'd answer that. One part is firstly understanding that it never ends, and it's constantly changing. The problem is that our market told us yesterday, today it could be different. So the level of depth that we want to go into it really comes from those conversations. There's one-to-one conversations and especially on sales calls. That's where you get the best, because they come to you and they share the problem. And the level of depth, I'd say, to go into understanding their problem, there's 4 key areas. One part being their frustrations. So logistically, what's going on for them right now? Is it time? Is it money? What's the frustration that they're experiencing right now? And the second part of what's going on right now is their fears. So you mentioned overwhelm. What are some of the emotions that they're experiencing as a result of those frustrations?
Yeah, frustration, overwhelm. Overwhelm's a big one. Feeling sort of, also I guess that fear of, am I doing the right thing? Am I spending the right time in the right areas?
Yeah.
Particularly say with Facebook and things like that,
Mm.
some people see the value
Yep.
in Facebook marketing in terms of, putting videos on lives and things like that. And some people just go, it's not bringing in money. Why would you spend that time there?
Yeah.
Um, and it's that sort of, I know I need to be doing something. I'm not really confident in speaking and presenting myself as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, awesome. So, great context in terms of what they're thinking. So, if that's the narrative that's going on in their mind, am I doing the right thing?
Mm.
Should I be focusing on this? Or
Yes.
if that's the narrative, so we want to put that in our messaging. You're
Mm.
probably thinking, am I doing the right thing? Should I be focusing on Facebook? Or so that's a great level of depth into their fears, because they're
Mm.
that the overwhelm that's going on with them right now. So so far I've covered the frustrations and fears
Mm.
on where they're at right now. So
Yeah.
that's what you mentioned so far in terms of their frustrations are they're not sure whether to go on Facebook or what types of video they should be doing. And
Yeah.
then some of the fears are overwhelm, and maybe they're not confident in delivering video, but they know they should be doing something. That's some of the fears that they're
Yeah.
experiencing. So that's a great context into talking about what they're experiencing right now, the level of depth of their frustrations, and we can go miles deeper if we're able to write a page of their diary. If we know what's going on in their world, from the moment they wake up, what they're thinking, to what they're eating, what their lifestyle is like, to the
Yes.
moment they go to bed, and we understand their fears and frustrations. The next part is we want to also understand their wants and desires, where
Yes.
they're heading and what are their
Yes.
goals, and what would it be like for them to be able to achieve those goals. If we understand those four aspects, so fears, frustrations, and then wants and desires. Wants and desires, what are their goals? So
Yeah.
do they want to save a certain amount of time? Is it a certain amount of revenue or sales that they want to achieve? So short term and long term. And what are their aspirations? So is it because they want to be able to take their family out for dinner and not have to worry about
Mm.
the check
Mm.
at the end? Is it because they
Mm.
want to go on holiday to South America and enjoy 2 months off without having to worry about the business? So different aspirations depending on who it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me some of the aspirations or wants and desires you come across most of
And
the time.
that's really detailed.
Mhm.
Why is it so important to be that detailed? Because there's things there, like there's some wording in there that you mentioned as well. They want to feel a certain way. They want to do certain things. Like that's a really emotional connection to that feeling, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that we come across with, and what we find in our sales calls is um, the typical ones. I love to just be on a beach. Well, if
Yep.
anyone could travel now, be on a beach, have a holiday without having to worry about work.
Yeah.
Just having that financial freedom. Like at the end of the day, I find the majority of people,
Mhm.
they go into business, ironically, because it gives them that level of freedom,
Yep.
right? To give them that level of freedom and
Mhm.
be their own boss, and dictate the direction that their life is going to take them. For them, it's to take my family, or to just have that income that comes in,
Yep.
and I don't have to pick up the check the emails and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
um and that's for them. Like the end goal is to have that experience. So I'm going to say that's an experience, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not a monetary thing. It's a, I like to see myself
Mhm.
like this.
Yeah.
And some people will say it in a monetary form, but I sort of, what I tend to do is I drill down further. Like, if your goal is to get, 500 grand residual income, what does that mean? What does that allow you to do?
Yep.
And I think that's where you're talking about, what is it that they're looking to achieve.
Yeah, so I love the level that you're already going into the conversations with the people that you speak to, especially on sales calls. Understanding, so from a visual perspective, part of understanding your ideal clients or ideal markets, wants and desires, is we want to be able to draw that up. So we want to draw up the picture and the scene and showcase what it will be like to achieve that result, whether they're on a beach, whether they're on holiday, whether they're achieving some sort of level of freedom. And with video, there are the it can be a little bit difficult in today's market, because if we make it too cinematic, if we make it look too unrealistic, people
Mm,
um, think
mm,
that it looks cool, but they don't necessarily believe it. So things like Facebook Live and keeping things organic to some aspects help as well. And at the same time, understanding the wants and desires of the market on a sales perspective. I like how you said what would it give them, and at the same time breaking it down to what is it like for them now, because in their mind, so this goes for a sales and video perspective. In their mind, if they can see the roadmap from where they're at now towards that desire or towards those
mm.
goals, and we can draw up the steps to move towards that, then they'll be more inclined to make a buying decision. And that's really what marketing is about. It's helping people make buying decisions depending on how they think. So some, depending on the avatar, some are either more inclined to move towards their goals and aspirations, and some a little bit more focused on the problem, and aren't really clear on where they want to go. They just know that they don't want to be experiencing the overwhelm and confusion that they might be experiencing right now.
Yeah, and so let's talk about the videos then. I mean, what and if anyone hasn't already watched the video that Sio's done, we'll put a link. Do you have a link that people can, because it's
Yeah, I can
fantastic.
share
It
that.
breaks it down into the 5 different videos. But let's just focus on problem aware to begin with, all right? If someone if their audience, if you have clients, do you know that are problem aware, what are the types of videos that people can do straight away to begin
Mhm.
with? I almost think like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's like, there's the home video, home video here, and then there's, movie type videos up here.
Yeah,
Is there a sort of scale where people can gradually grow into? Because it's
yeah,
obviously different budgets as well. And if
yeah.
that's the case, what is the minimum that people can do? And are there steps where they can go, all right, well, you can do your Facebook Live, and then you can do a video
Mhm.
with some transcribing and some, intro,
Yeah,
outro, and then, talk to
yeah.
us about that.
Yeah, so the scale of video, I always say start organic. So make mistakes, because that's where people know that you're real, know that you're similar to them, that you're not perfect, and you're not fabricating what you're talking about, because you're putting yourself out there. So
Mm,
start organic. No matter what scale of business you're at, whether you're multi 7, 8 figures, start organic.
so
People know
what
that
does that
you're
mean, start
so
organic?
yeah. So you can start with Facebook Live. You can
Mm,
start with your mobile phone as video, and the types of video you want to create for a problem-aware market is stories and secrets. So that's for a very unaware market,
yeah,
and then so stories and secrets, creating a story or secret about an ideal client who was experiencing all those fears and frustrations, and they took secret 1, 2, 3 ABC to achieve their goals and desires. That's an example. Another example for a problem-aware market is stories to case study. So if you've got live examples of people that were experiencing those fears, frustrations, and were able to make the transition from the problem towards solution, that's even more powerful.
talk to me. Stories, how are stories different to case studies?
Yeah, so case studies are live examples. So they've you can interview an ideal client and ask them what were some of the things that you were going through before we started working together.
Mm,
What were the frustrations that you're experiencing? What were your biggest challenges? And
mm,
then how did you overcome that for the work that we've been doing? That's an example of a case study where you're showcasing a live example. A
mm,
story can be the narrative can be around one person, but it can be a collective of the number of solutions that you've created for your market. So you want to talk about one person, but it's the average of everyone that you've been talking to. So an example,
Okay.
yeah, does that make sense?
I'm trying to work out where we're not specifically talking. So the story might be, if we go back to the whole
Yeah.
overwhelm, maybe it's the story around the small business owner.
Mhm.
So an overall narrative around the
Yeah,
small business owner that is the chief everything officer
yeah,
and has overwhelmed. That sort of story.
yeah. And even better if you can put yourself, your old self, in those shoes.
Old
So
self, yes.
yeah. So when I started business, I was making sales of $30 credit. I didn't have an office, and I had to pretend that I had a team, as an example. So that's just starting up a made up story to put yourself into their shoes, if that's what they're going through. And
Yes,
I need to stress that it needs to be relevant to what they're going through right now.
yes.
Otherwise, it can't just be about you. It needs to be about them through your story.
Yeah, yeah, okay. I always have to stress that it's about your target market, because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
people are watching and they're wondering how it applies to them.
Mhm.
And with all
That's
due
it.
respect,
That's all
they
they care
don't
about.
really care about you.
Yeah, yeah. That's if there's one thing anyone gets from this video, it's that it's never about you. It's
It's
only
no,
ever
not
about,
about, yeah,
yeah,
it's not you, it's me.
yeah,
And what is this thing about the secrets? Do you actually talk about the secrets in that
yeah.
video?
So yeah, so that's specifically for a very unaware audience. They may not even know that they have a problem.
Yeah, okay.
So they are aware they have some problems, but they're, for example, uh, uh,
Say if it's a
uh,
brand new product or something like that, brand new
uh,
product or service.
as example, and I can talk about the example that you mentioned about someone that's going through overwhelm and not sure what direction to take to
Yeah,
get online. The
yeah,
problem that they're not aware that they have is a sales problem, but they don't know that they have a sales problem. They're just going through overwhelm and not sure what
yeah,
direction they
okay.
have.
Yes,
So that
yes.
sales problem is something that they're not aware of. So that's where the story and the secrets come from. So the secrets, you can create a story about what it was like for you when you were going through that overwhelm, and the three secrets that um, you utilized to get that. So people that didn't know that you used the magic sales script, or magic, or the secret framework,
Yeah,
sales framework,
okay.
as an example.
Okay. Yes,
That's
yes,
some
yes, yes.
examples.
Yeah, the five, we use these 5 steps to freedom sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay, right, right, right. And then it also, it obviously grabs them to want to know more. Okay, so we talk about organic sort of Facebook lives, just doing videos off your phone, but is that unprofessional? Like, do we need to
Uh,
be polished and beautiful and with makeup? Not, whether you wear makeup or not, it's up to you.
yeah.
It's, don't we need to always look professional in videos?
I'd say no. So, and I'd say no. I say that you don't because personally I've been able to make tens of thousands from my phone, and I know others that have been able to make 6, 7 figures off their phone without having professional video. The other category that I've learned through my market is their brand. So brand being the type of will represent a caliber of the market. So I've depending on the brand and where they want to position themselves, then that caliber of professional video would come in. So, as an example, for developers who have been through the works, they're not the part-time just doing a duplex here and there. They're in it full-time, creating bigger projects. Yes, they want to showcase their presence to the market to gain trust through personal video, but at the same time they want to showcase their brand as
Mm,
they're not just mom and dad businesses, they are a real brand. So taking that caliber into consideration, depending on the brand and what caliber of the market they want to position themselves in.
Yeah, yeah. And I've noticed that, with your property VA, we do have quite a few developers who are clients. And one of the thing is that I think we do find the people who are starting up or starting to build their property business, um, almost to a certain extent forget the need to have brand, because
Yeah,
we're always focused on, the product. And then you
yeah,
go, oh, do I really need to have a brand? Do I need to have a Facebook or a website? And I think the answer to that is, this day and age, if you're looking to attract investors or buyers, like, they instinctively, the first thing they do is Google you.
yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong here. Talking about the similar market in the development industry. What I'm finding is there are developers who have created a level of success or results through their business, and they get to a stage where they feel like they shouldn't have to market their solutions. They shouldn't have to convince others why their solution
Mm,
or their projects are great, because they've already created success in the past. And the problem that they have is, like you mentioned, if they haven't created the brand or the messaging or the marketing behind it, they almost have to start again, build trust with
mm,
new
mm.
partners, new investors, because to a bigger audience, they may not know the messaging or the brand behind it.
Yeah, yeah,
Does that
yeah.
resonate with any?
Yeah, I find that, I mean, especially with, I'm going to just say, the old school developers,
Yeah.
like, marketing's not really a thing that old school developers do apart from selling their stock.
Mhm.
Um, and if they've got a pool of, investors or supporters that they already have. But it is something in the, and I'll say, the new world, where you get a lot of side hustle developers, or whichever.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to say side hustle, people who are transitioning to full-time development. um, and the one thing that we encourage is, look at it as a business. Like, you've got to start looking
Mhm.
at what you're doing in your projects as a business, if you're wanting to be able to grow from that aspect. So say, for example, there you've got a developer, any sort of business, you start organically with Facebook lives and videos and things like that. What, like, what is the difference? Like, what do you need to do to get to the next level? So what are the next levels up from there? Because then you see, you've got videos with the header and the footer and the transcribing and
Yep.
things like
Yeah.
like that. Like,
So yeah, so I'll talk a little bit about the unfair advantage that these, let's say, new school of businesses or developers have. So the unfair advantage that they have, if they've already started to create trust online, where they're using organic video, using their mobile phone, maybe doing Facebook Lives, the unfair advantage that they have. So far, we've only spoken about messaging and the story behind it. What I haven't covered is the strategies that they can use to leverage. So um, the things that they also, a few tips on what they can do to leverage if they're a let's say new school business where they've started to build trust online. They're using organic video to showcase their message and speak to their ideal market. You then want to leverage that. So what I mean by leveraging is using a strategy that can leverage their time. Once you've got the message, you can put that message in front of you can grow your audience, and at the same
mm,
time, you want to have a strategy that can turn the cold audience into this, like what the old school businesses you've said have as a pool of investors. So that they're very solution aware. They know that they have that they provide the solutions, but there's only a small pool of them. What the unfair advantage is for these new school type of businesses is that they're, number one, able to have the right messaging, and if they have the right strategy to turn a cold audience into this pool of let's say solution aware investors, they've got a leverage solution that they can grow almost uncapped, where
Mm.
yeah, that's the unfair advantage that I'd say the new school of businesses and developers have is number one, they've got messaging,
Yes.
and the only thing that they need is strategy. And the aspect that I haven't spoken about is scale as well. So
Yes.
one
Yeah.
part is having the strategy to take a cold audience into a warm audience or a pool of educated investors. One part is having that strategy, and then the other part is to scale that. So once you've got that proven path of taking a unaware audience into a solution aware audience that become part of your pool of investors or invested audience, then you want to scale that. And
Mm.
it's literally uncapped in today's market, and how people are utilizing online strategies today.
Yeah. Absolutely. That scale is a big one. Just before we came on as well, you touched very briefly that your one of your business partners was doing really fantastic videos. Um, but and this was prior to you guys
Yep.
coming together and doing Umbrella 90. But what we're finding is that the conversions or like the messages were being missed. So, and this is, these are professional production videos. Um, Again, how different is it now for you guys? Because you guys do videos for businesses, you know, when you get to that point, like it's not your Facebook Live type things. What is it that you look to do to deliver for your clients to say, okay, this is the video we're going to create, and for what
Yeah.
purpose is it going to be for?
Yeah. So to answer that question, going back to my business partner, who is the founder of Expansion Media, and the reason why we have Umbrella 90 is because anyone can produce a video, high quality cinematic professional videos for businesses, and they can spend tens of thousands of dollars on a solution like that and have it sitting on their website may not mean conversions. In today's market, because the, let's say, new school of business have this unfair advantage where they're able to take their message to market, or anyone can take their message to market. The way that we want to create videos today, and the reason behind Umbrella 90, why we want to create videos today, is we want to leverage what's working. So even if you're an old school business that have had components of business that are working, there's still a way that they connect with their market, whether it's one-to-one conversations. And depending on those one-to-one conversations, what happens in those conversations, is it because they understand their goals and aspirations? Is it because there's some strategic planning that takes care of their fears and frustrations? Depending on that conversation, we can develop a video strategy from that. So there's always a process offline that we can use video to leverage online. There's always a way of connecting with your market, consulting and educating your market, and then closing and selling to your market. That process, online or offline, we can leverage that with video.
Yeah, and you mentioned strategy a few times there, and I'll be honest, I never really thought about what the video strategy might be. Really, when I think of video, I sort of go, it's a promotional video, it's a one maybe introduction of who we are. Is that
Yeah.
typically what it is that you guys do, or is that being broken down? When you talk about strategy, I'm thinking it's different little
Yeah.
videos.
That's right. So strategy is the way that you would leverage how you're selling or what's working for your business offline, and the video strategy is how we replicate that online.
Mm.
Because whether you're relying on referrals, or whether you're organically offline growing your business through word of mouth, there's still a strategy behind that. So we want to replicate that strategy through video. Typically, there are three steps. There's a connection phase where you connect with someone offline or one-to-one. Then there's a consultation where you understand their needs, and then third, you take care of them through your sales process. Those typical 3 steps are the 3 steps you want to leverage through video. So through an engagement video, to an educational case study video, to a sales letter video.
Okay, yeah, so we're not just talking necessarily, we'll just do one, you know, movie video. It's really honing in on what the message is that you want in the video.
Yeah.
Excellent day. I've asked lots of questions, and I'd love for people to be able to have a look at your. I think that five video is fantastic. Not only do you have a baby strapped to you, uh, but it's very succinct as to, you know, where is your audience at and what sort of video messaging works for them. But I want to also do a call out. You're doing a training on how to leverage LinkedIn through Facebook. That's
Yeah,
really
through
interesting.
Facebook ads.
Through
Yeah.
Facebook
So
ads and LinkedIn. So this is blowing my mind because I'm like, I always thought like
yeah,
LinkedIn is different to Facebook. You know, we're not friends. That's going to be really cool
yeah,
to see what sort of hacks you've come across there.
yeah. And I'd love to share that. So this is new even for myself. I'm very new to LinkedIn. So anyone that looks at me on LinkedIn, you'll see I've only got a few hundred connections. But I've just discovered the strategy. And as we've been talking about strategy a lot today, there are strategies to leverage your audience, grow your audience. And I found LinkedIn is probably one of the best ways of getting, because you can search for a specific type. Like if you're searching for lawyers as an example, you can search and find every lawyer on LinkedIn in your suburb or city. And the strategies I want to talk about is how to grow that specific audience and then target them through Facebook ads. And I'd love to share more on that training
Excellent.
tomorrow.
Yes, yes. So we are going to have that on the Property Development Australia page, and we'll put up some details. But I'll also share the details on Your Property VA and anyone else that's interested. If you're interested in that training, comment below as well in the little underneath the Facebook post here. Sio, thank you.
You're
You've
welcome.
shared a lot there. I have been very, very intrigued about the whole video space. I've been doing it the organic way for quite a while,
Awesome.
but we want to
Yeah.
be able to, you know, a lot of businesses that we're helping out as well, they're asking the same questions, you know, do I do sort of raw videos with a ring light or whatever, or
Yeah.
do I take it up a notch to a proper production? Um, so if
Mm.
anyone wants to reach out to you and find out a little bit more, we're going to add your link to your 5 videos video.
Yeah.
And then
I'll drop that in the comments.
what's the best way for people to also communicate with you? Email, you know,
Facebook.
PM on Facebook. Okay,
Yeah. PM on Facebook is the easiest way.
excellent, excellent.
Sorry,
We'll
my
do that.
internet connection is saying it's unstable. I'm probably back now.
Excellent. No, it's all right. Thank you for sharing your time and your knowledge. I appreciate that very much. And we will be chatting a little bit more, I believe, when we get offline as well.
Yeah, I'll speak to you offline, and thank you for this opportunity. I'll add the links in the chat so people can find out more.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Ciao, ciao.